Hello and welcome to Armchair Analysts podcast. This is episode 20. I'm your host Johnny, and with me always is
Ace.
Ace of Spades. Ace of Spades. All right, man. Let's just get right into it. We got a lot to cover, and the same amount of time as always to cover it. So let's go. All right. So starting off, just to recap, kind of with some of the things that happened with the George Floyd fallout, at least how it pertains to us and the sporting world. We've got a lot of things coming back that haven't been heard of or even thought of for a couple of years now. Mm-hmm. Kneeling during the anthem has become a big polarizing topic, which, we don't need to have, our own political opinions expressed here. Mm-hmm. I think we can go without that. But apparently, it's still a super divisive issue. If Drew Brees wants to keep rustling people's jimmies, that seems to be the flavor of the week, at least for the last couple days here. So, I don't know. Do you have just like any initial reaction on that? I'm not sure how involved you are into the Twitter world, but our boy was trending for a couple days.
Yeah, Drew Brees, I saw what he had to say. It's crazy how much has changed within like the 2 weeks because, everybody seems like they've been on edge and compounded with the fact that we've been locked in our homes because of this pandemic. So it's like, Drew Brees, I applaud him both, number one, for having the courage to be able to speak up, and then also, knowing that what he said may not have been the right way to approach it, and then apologizing to the team and all that. So he did the right thing apologizing. It's
a little bit harder for me. It's not as black and white for me, I think, just because it's, if you're going to make, a decisive stance like that, and then just to kind of, rescind it and just take it back and flip a 180, I don't know. I mean, either way, like, I feel like it's, for him, it's damned if you do, damned if you don't. If just because he has family and, other relatives in the military, for him to support that, well, then obviously he's against what's going on.
Yes.
But I just think he articulated it very poorly, and unfortunately, every time you tweet something, it's going to be, criticized and ripped apart by every person out there. So, not an easy situation, especially. I'm not sure if you checked last, but New Orleans and Louisiana, decent amount of African American people in that community. So. Definitely probably not the right thing to say at all. Definitely the wrong time, but
I thought it was funny. It was on Yahoo Finance, too, of all things. I'm like, wait, what? He's having an interview on Yahoo Finance? And so why of all things? I think the interviewer kind of baited him in a way. Like, why?
Of course he did. You know how much clickbait? That thing was trending on Twitter for 2 straight days.
Yeah.
That's unfortunately, it's still like some clickbait journalism, but. Yeah, but I mean, there's other things going on with that too. I mean, there's a lot of Kaepernick talk, and former teammates, and even people that never played with him. They see some of the not so great quarterbacks that their team has picked up. I know Akeem Hicks for the Bears had a nice quote asking, he was asked if Cap should be let back into the league, and I can't remember the exact quote. It's like, dude, we signed Mike Lennon. I don't know why, but that just really resonated with me because that was a great few games when Glennon was starting for the Bears, for the Packer fans. But
I did not see that. That's funny.
There's a lot of rough quarterbacks that have been employed when Mr. Kaepernick is not. But again, not trying to pick sides. I don't really have an opinion either way on it, but. I get the points that are being made on both sides for sure. But there's other things too. Now even people are digging up old tweets, and even I don't know if you saw, but the LA Galaxy actually cut one of their players just because of a tweet that his wife
yes you told me about that.
On Friday they released their starting midfielder Alexander Katai after his wife posted racist Instagram messages. So I mean, I know that it's people are very sensitive during this time and they have every right to be, but it just seems that we're just digging deep now, and I don't know, like where's the line,
I agree. I think if anyone, it'd be nice if social media features like actually would have a modal or something that would pop up to say, "Are you sure you really want to send this? Why don't you take a second look before you hit send?" And that's
Yeah.
for anybody, because how many times are these stupid statements just thrown out there, and there's really, if you asked anyone, "Oh, if you could take that back, would you?" Yeah, like 100% of the time. And then, well, I shouldn't say 100. You're always going to have those idiots that, of course, want to incite violence. That's why you got these stupid provocateurs now, which I didn't even know was a word, but I keep hearing that all around the news platforms.
I like that.
What do they call them?
I mean, I know that the Twitter, the digging around in Twitter has been around for a little bit, because I can't remember what year it was, but there was a quarterback, and then it was right around draft time. Maybe it was the combine, but they were doing like their character interviews with different teams or whatever. And some executive from some team brought up like a tweet he had from like 6-7 years ago, when the kid was like 15 or earlier than that. Like I can't remember exactly what it was, but they that's when I was like, wow, these guys will really just scour the interwebs for anything and everything about you. So
yeah,
that's. Now it's being not only people finding these old tweets. Utah actually, they suspended their defensive coordinator Morgan Scalley indefinitely when they found out a racist text message and a racist tweet that he had in 2013.
No way.
Yeah. So I mean,
he shouldn't have said that, but where does the line cross? How are you gonna?
But it's like a full-fledged investigation, but it's your own social media. Like, you are putting this information out there. Yep. And it's coming back to bite you in the ass, like. Or the case of the midfielder Katai, like, it wasn't even him; it was his wife. Like, you have to be responsible for your own social media and now your spouse's. I mean, it seems to be getting a little excessive, but I don't know. I mean, it's the franchise. It's everything's kind of modeled after them, so. That's their image, their representation out there in the world, I guess. But damn.
and you're seeing it now with a lot of boycotts, even with organizations coming out funding support for the Black Lives Matters cause. YouTube, Amazon, Apple, God, you name it. A lot of corporations are coming out in support of that. But it's also drawing criticism from the other side that thinks they're just being advantageous during this time.
Oh yeah, it's definitely a kind of a branding and positioning time too for a lot of companies, and but the thing, it even goes the other way too, where you're kind of wondering, just because you have a platform doesn't mean you have to take a stance.
Yeah, that's a good
I know
point.
I've heard a lot on the radio where there's a lot of people that have maybe not necessarily a fantastic fan base, but they have, a good following, whether it be on social media, whether it be, a lot of viewers or whatever. They don't necessarily want to speak out, but now they're being pressured to. Like musicians I know there's Twitch streamers, YouTube artists, people that have like a lot of attention coming their way on a daily or, weekly basis, and they're feeling the pressure now, because I mean, a lot of them. I mean, especially you have like millions of viewers or followers, that's a good way to piss off your base. If you say something maybe that's insensitive, or you take a stance that they don't agree with. So if that's your livelihood, I mean, if you can ride that fence, or you can just kind of move along without it, I mean, that might be the best approach, but I do not envy those people.
Yeah, I think somebody like LeBron would have been completely chastised had he not, unfortunately, with his platform or being as big of a superstar as he is. I kind of agree. It's almost like these guys are sort of, forced isn't the right word, obviously, but it's like they have to come out. Yeah, compelled to speak up. And they're, it's applaud them for doing that too, because you're right, they're taking a stance and knowing that some fans may not even appreciate that even too.
I mean, you got to remember, the whole reason that Kaepernick defended what he was doing is like because he had the platform, he had his position in the NFL to be able to do and relay, the message that he did. And a lot of people that are trying to, make waves and whatever movement they're supporting, they don't have those kind of resources. They don't have that kind of reach, and they don't have, the same effect that someone, in a more famous and more advantageous spot could do. So, I mean, I get both sides, and I definitely feel, I feel like if you have the ability, you should. But I mean, that's, again, no one cares what my opinion is, and I don't have enough people listening to me for it to matter. But I feel like if you have the platform, it should be used for, I mean, at absolute minimum, something positive. If not your own agenda, which I know some people are doing, but
exactly.
At least try to make a positive change if you can. But that's just me. All right. Whew. All right. That was a nice little recap of what's been going on the last week. But we've got some other stuff too, things to look forward to. I know that we have sports returning, and your favorite sport is actually coming back fairly quickly. You got any more details for me?
Yeah, golf. I guess it's my favorite to play now. God, I must be getting older. It's returning this weekend, the Charles Schwab Open. I believe it's taking place in Tejas, Texas. So the first one back. Obviously no fans for the first 4 events. I haven't heard any differently about that being extended. And then it looks like, oddly enough, I think MLS soccer is going to be next in line to return the end of June 24th. And that's a little bit different format. Apparently, the first couple games of the season, in which my Minnesota United started 2-0, 6 points. You get 3 points for each win. Those games aren't going to count. So what's going to happen is they're going to play 3 games. Each team will play 3 games, and then the top 16. So it's going to be like a group stage kind of knockout, more or less. The top 16 teams will advance into a tournament style. So they'll play 4 more games in that format, basically, and those apparently don't count toward the regular season, but they're still going to hand out a trophy and give the winner a spot in the CONCACAF Champions League tournament to potentially play in the Champions League at some point. But yeah, it's going to be in Orlando, which is where the NBA is going to be played in.
It's where apparently every sport ever is going to be.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting, though. I think it's an odd format, just because the fact that you only get 3 games to really prove yourself doesn't seem fair. But I mean, apparently the players were in on this because they came to some tentative agreement. Mm-hmm. But so then next NBA, I think they're going to kick off. Oh gosh, I believe it might be right around the time MLB is, not that weekend, the July 4th weekend, but right around in and around the first to second week in July. NBA, and their format, I think I mentioned that before, but it's going to be, oh God, I can't, 16 teams that'll make the playoffs, but they're going to have 22 kind of competing to see of those 16. So they're going to have 8 regular season games, and then of the top 16, they'll advance into the playoffs.
Yeah, and that's actually, the NBA start date is July 31st is the tentative start date, so not quite as soon as...
Oh, okay. Thank you.
You were hoping. But yeah, the 22 teams, I mean, it's... for the fans of the teams that already technically, unfortunately, got eliminated, I mean, at this point, I don't even really think they care. I think
they'll watch it, though.
Had a shot. Oh, of course. I mean, I don't watch golf, and I might be watching golf. Like,
yes.
It's... I might not be awake, but it'll be on TV while I'm passed out.
How about we'll do a little wager. I will give you 2 of the top players. Oh, you might not even. You take Rory and like Brooks Koepka, and I'll pick 2 lower guys, and we'll do a nice little friendly wager. If you happen to watch.
Get off my podcast. You don't bet.
All right, go ahead. Sorry, I cut you off.
So we got that covered. Now we can turn to a little bit more local stuff. Your boy Dalvin Cook, he's got some issue with his current contract, doesn't he? What's going on?
Yeah, and honestly, I wish he would have gotten paid before McCaffrey. I kind of feel like...
How? He doesn't have a body of work. He's had 1 decent year.
Yeah, but I just think it would have been interesting bargaining. Well, I guess either way, he's getting paid before Barkley, but it's gonna, no matter what, it's interesting bargaining power because I he's deserved to get paid, but we're very tight on the cap space anyway. So no matter what he
because you
gets,
paid Barr a bajillion dollars.
yeah, yeah, no matter what
You
he
literally had to
gets,
let your entire secondary go because of Cousins and Barr's contract.
oh, yeah, we still got Harry.
This
Smith.
is what I was hoping for. So as a Packer fan, when I saw the Legion of Boom and Russell Wilson get his new deal, I just waited for the time in the offseason when they realized we can't pay everybody. we have too many big contracts out there. We can't keep everybody. So you see the cap casualties start coming in. So as soon as Cousins came in, I got giddy. I got excited because not only you guys had cap issues before, and then you gave him a 100% guaranteed contract. Oh, yeah. I was waiting for this offseason. But the problem is I would be so much more excited, but the Packers did what they did during free agency and the draft, so like it kind of cancels it out, you know? Like you see the Vikings just hemorrhaging players and, you know, the cap space just becomes crazy. They mortgage their future again and get another first rounder in the mix. They draft another first round wide receiver, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like I'm just salivating. And then you Packers bring in Devin Funchess, couple journey, an oft-injured linebacker from the Browns, you know, some line depth, and then they draft the quarterback and the running back back-to-back, you know. Kind of deflates.
Guys, but...
yeah, it kind of deflated my mood a little bit, but it is what it is. So now that Dalvin Cook, who is somehow more entitled than some of the other fine running backs in the league,
who's better than him? Let's name off who we think is better than him.
Literally any running back that finishes a season. Aaron Jones, same division. Boom, done. Game over.
Okay. No, I'm curious because I want to know where he would fit in. If you don't think he's
the thing is,
10,
it's like the best availability is his. Yeah, the best ability is his availability, and like no offense,
yeah.
like when he's healthy, fantastic. Like he is amazing for that offense. Like at least the way I don't know what the hell you guys are gonna do this year, but I don't know. Just before before you started getting hampered with injuries, you know, when he's healthy, he's a train, man. He is hard to tackle. He's like a poor man's Derrick Henry.
So, I remember listening to. I just happened to turn on the K-Fan during the draft, the K-Fan Sports Radio 100.3 here, to figure out draft coverage. They had Alexander Madison, our backup running back, on after because he played with Ezra Cleveland, the guy we drafted. I don't remember what round it was. Could have been second or third. It was one of the earlier rounds. He played with him. So you want to point is, I think Dalvin's years unfortunately are numbered here.
And that's the nature of the business, you know. That's why it's really hard to, buy, like an autographed whatever, or get a brand new jersey, or get really attached to a player because it's just the shelf life. It's just, in general, a shelf life for an NFL player is just shorter. Yeah. And then you have just the nature of the biz. I mean, you know what? They're like, if we're only going to play on average like 4 years, they want money as soon as possible. So and all this holdout stuff, I don't know. It's starting to get really sickening because it's typically the same positions. It's either cornerback or it's running back.
Yep.
And you know what? They attract some divas, wide receiver too, unfortunately. But those, the skill positions, they're going to get most of the attention. They're going to probably get what they want, But I don't know. I just find it really amusing that someone who just has such a small sample size of his ability, is just going to throw it away. But I don't know. I mean, you saw it worked out for Melvin Gordon. Jeez, I kind of lump him in that kind of same scenario. Like, you could do it, but it's like it's really easy to draft and replace. Like how all the teams that have the first the top 10 pick for running back, how are they doing? Yeah,
exactly. It doesn't add up well. It's unfortunate.
No, look at Fournette. They're going to be out of a job. They've been trying to trade him forever.
Yep. Yeah. I'm surprised they haven't. Or I mean, you saw what happened to David Johnson, and
Yeah, it's more and more a two-back league. It's having that one guy stud is just not a thing anymore. You can't, especially if they're going to extend the season. Dalvin can barely make it through, 13, 14 games. You want to get him through, an extra game every year? Yeah, it's
no,
I don't know. But because we're discussing hubris and that kind of thing, Jameis Winston had a nice quote today. I know what I'm worth. Historically, I'm one of the best quarterbacks to play the game. Reaction?
That doesn't even warrant a reaction now that I don't even want to put thought into that. He's next. Have some frickin' self-awareness.
I mean, he did have 5,100 passing yards, 33 touchdowns. But he also had a couple interceptions. Yeah, man, I get it. Like when the guy is on, he is on. But the problem is the next quarter he could throw, 2 picks and fumble. It's really, it's, yeah. I mean, he had 35 turnovers last year. He had 30 interceptions and 5 lost fumbles. 35 turnovers?
What do you say? Seriously. It's like, with all that's going on, and this idiot has the awareness or the wherewithal
and
to
for
put it
historically one of the best to play the game, you're a backup right now, Jameis.
Yeah.
You're a backup. Although with what Drew Brees has done on social media last week, he might be the starter. Who the hell knows? But
yeah.
All I know is he had 35 turnovers last year. The next closest had 24. 11 less. Which, damn. Yeah, we can move on. I just wanted to point out that was probably the funniest thing I saw today. All right, so now we're going to do a little, pardon the interruption, do a little buy or sell.
Oh, yeah.
And a nice little update. Connor McGregor officially announces his retirement. Is there any possible chance that he's actually telling the truth here?
I sell that, but I buy Henry Cejudo's retirement. You probably don't know who he is, but I don't think McGregor's serious. I think what's going to happen is he's going to end up getting paid to box Mayweather again, because there's rumors about that starting back up.
Of course there is.
And then he'll just come back to face. He'll try to pump his image up, and then try to come back to face whoever has the title in his weight division for UFC. I don't think he'll get that shot either, depending on what happens. But I sell that.
I mean, he does have a few business ventures out there, and I know that I said this about Gronk, and then he literally came back, just a little bit ago. But I don't know. The thing is that Mayweather will like just troll him now. Like he literally, when McGregor announced his retirement, I think it was within an hour or two, Mayweather already had tweets out to him just trolling him incessantly. Like, how are you gonna say you're the best when you won't even go round 2? Or like, I don't know. He's just literally just incessantly trolling him, and I'm surprised it hasn't really kind of come into the forefront more, because I know how hyped it was. I know how anticlimactic it was. I know how many people were pissed that they paid as much as they did to see it. But who didn't talk about it? There's so many people that don't give a hoot about UFC, about boxing, about literally paying for TV to go to a place to see it or buying it, and they were finding a way to watch it. Same thing with I think it's just Mayweather, dude. That's just Mayweather, because Pacquiao, I had people who I didn't even know would watch a sport like, hey, what are you doing for the fight? What?
Fight?
You want to watch it? Okay, sure. Yeah, I'm going to this place. Okay. Like it draws people, and especially like now when there's no sports going on, people would love just to talk about it. But he's going the other direction.
Floyd already retired, by the way, so we could have had a buy and sell for those two, and then heck, even throw in Mike Tyson, because apparently he wants.
Oh, dude, he's looking good.
That's scary.
He's looking good, man. You see pictures of him like 5-6 years ago and him right now?
Oh, I didn't, but it's pretty significant. The muscle.
Oh, well, I mean, it's like me 5 years ago compared to now, except the opposite. So
Oh.
rough. Yeah, I know. It's nice though. I mean, you see how people like after they're kind of left to their own devices and how they take care of themselves there. When you see an NFL lineman or even Jason Witten after just one off season of not having to lift and eat 10 billion calories a day, like he like turned into a twig. So yeah, it's interesting, and it's nice to see them carrying on after. But this is something completely unrelated to everything we've talked about, but I really just wanted to hammer this. The NFL Hall of Fame is reopening, and because this is getting closer to the time when I went for Brett Favre's Hall of Fame induction, if you have not gone to Canton and you are a fan of football, you need to make a trip. The drive there is horrendous. No matter where, if you're from the Midwest, if you're from like Minnesota or Wisconsin, like Aaron and I are, it's a horrible drive. It's terrible. There's tolls. You got to go through Gary, Indiana. It's not great. But once you get there, the environment, the people, the amount of stuff that you'll see that just either jogs your memory of like a couple decades ago or stuff that you didn't even know happened. They've got a lot of crazy, crazy memorabilia in there. Some really cool recent stuff that they've added on.
Is the air different?
Is the what?
The air? Does it just smell? Does it have the aura of like you're in
hallowed grounds? No, that's Lambo, bro. That's Lambo you're thinking of.
Oh man, they're gonna think I set you up for that.
But
one.
it's a treat. It's not even expensive. I think it honestly cost us more to get there than it was actually there. But yeah, it was during the Hall of Fame induction weekend. My best friend and I, we made a long weekend out of it. Obviously saw Brett Favre there too. So
nice.
Just personal experience. If you have a chance, if you have a couple weekends you're playing with and you're not sure what to do, grab a buddy, grab some friends, make a nice road trip out of it, and just enjoy yourselves. I mean, even if it's not the induction weekend, they've got stuff going on most of the time once it gets closer to football season. So
I would
definitely highly recommended my book.
Gotcha. Noted. I'm writing that down as a summer trip, perhaps.
I mean, there's not like any Vikings are going to get there anytime soon. I mean,
we got the
Moss already got his jacket, right? So
yeah, purple people eaters. Moss.
No. It's even if you don't have a player that you want to see, just going there, just the environment, like it's I don't know I guess you just got to go. It's fun.
Yeah, I think all of them, especially depending on what sports you prefer. Like if you like hockey, like I went to Cooperstown for the baseball Hall of Fame.
Yep.
Same sort of feelings there. It's freaking sweet. And then to see that Doubleday field where they used to, I think there was films shot on that field, and just overall the significance of everything that you're witnessing while you're there walking around is pretty cool. So get a chance, sports fans.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. It's like it's being a fan of something, but just to have that experience too. I mean, anyone can be an armchair analyst and just sit and watch the game, but just to kind of go and experience it. You don't have to go to a game. You don't have to spend, hundreds of dollars to go to see your favorite team or whatever, or buy a bunch of their crap. Just kind of experience it, become more knowledgeable, learn a little bit, and honestly, and the best part too is that they have guided tours. You can just kind of go yourself, just walk around at your own pace. You don't have to listen to anybody or go at their pace. You can just literally just walk around and just stare at whatever you want. It doesn't matter.
That's the best part, is no time limit.
That, and there's some good bars around there too, but that's a tale for another day. All right, that's enough
show.
Of my blather. Yeah, the post game wrap up. All right, now we can finally get to the best part of the podcast, Ace's Quick Six. What is it this week?
Well, man, I kind of wanted to just completely switch it up on you and do best places to visit on a road trip on a budget, but just based on the Hall of Fame talk. But I'm gonna stick with the top 6 UFC fighters today, agnostic of divisions. I know that's riveting, but it's basically the only American sport going on right now outside of actually I think it is outside of like esports if you want to count that.
Twitch, bro.
Kick it off, John Jones. And this really isn't in any order, but I think John
Let's
Jones.
just say, if you have him at 6, you are mad.
Yeah, I was gonna say you could probably argue that he's the top one on here. Um, John Jones, Jorge Masvidal, Khabib Nurmagomedov, got that one right. Francis Ngannou, who I never really had heard of him honestly until the first fight back. He was in that car, or I think it was the second one back, UFC, or sorry, third one. It was the weekend after the first one was back. He's a huge dude in the heavyweight class. So picture him basically facing Mike Tyson. That would be insane in their primes because Francis Ngannou was just jacked. So those four, Henry Cejudo, who actually retired, but I think in his weight class, I believe it's bantamweight, so it's like 135 or something around that weight, maybe a little smaller. But he's got 2 titles. Number one, he's won an Olympic gold medal in wrestling, so he's got a pretty good career. And then got to give my female lady some props. The last one, Amanda Nunes, just coming off a brutal win. I happened to watch a live stream of that, and the stream actually included the fight in the kind of like blurred out in the background a little bit, but you could see it. And that girl, Felicia Spencer, had no chance. Nunes has 2 belts now in 2 different weight classes, or I don't know if there's weight class. Yeah, there's gotta be, but she's got 2 belts in those weight classes, and arguably the best one, for sure the top one today, and maybe even of all time if she keeps going at it. So. Watching, they were saying prior to the fight too, Amanda Nunes versus Spencer, is that guys don't even want to spar with her when she's practicing. She's hitting that hard.
Would you?
Heck no.
It's not exactly a bold take. That's like common sense.
It's like, maybe one of my friends asked me, "You think you could last 30 seconds in there against her?" If I did, I would surely not have consciousness afterwards.
Well, and you'd have to pay for facial reconstruction surgery too, but
yeah.
I just want to go on record too that for some reason when it comes to UFC, you can pronounce names almost flawlessly, but any other sport, you just butcher it to hell. I don't know what it is. I just want to go on record that you did that with aplomb. That's great job. Very proud of you.
it's like when you have the big interview or a presentation and you're trying to rehearse it in the mirror. I was just standing in the mirror for hours.
So that's why we got a late start to recording, because you were practicing. Okay, I got it.
Nurmagomedov. Yeah.
Fantastic. All right, well, that is our show. If you're not already, please do give us a follow and hit us up on Twitter at AA Podcast. We'd love to hear from people. Feedback, good, bad, don't care. And if you're not already subscribed or following us on your favorite podcasting app, please do so. We're literally everywhere. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, Stitcher, whatever. We are on it. Give us a like, follow, share with your friends. That's always cool. We love doing this for everybody, so a little more exposure never hurt. Anything else? Any last words, Ace?
The first thing that came to mind was be kind again.
That's a granola bar. Kind bars. Peace and love to everybody. This has been Armchair Analysts. I'm Johnny. That's Ace, and we are out.
Load up. Every day we hustling.